Well, hello there, YouTube. It's Monday, September 11th, 2023. And today I will be talking about the wiring harness, the main wiring harness, the one that's on the left side or driver's side of the engine or the car. In a previous video of when I removed the engine, I labeled things, and I also noticed, there were some wiring problems. One of the biggest problems people have when they start a car that hasn't been running for about 14 or so years is wiring, right? And fuel and fire. That's going to be the problems. And the way that you get fires is by having electrical problems like this. I'm not quite sure how extensive the damages are here, but this obviously needs to be repaired. This video is going to be a good video for you guys, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify every single plug, the part number for that plug, and where it goes on the car. Everything on this main wiring harness. I have purchased all new plugs, and I purchased wire that's not going to do this anymore. I don't know about Mercedes or what kind of wiring they used or anything like that, but I'm going to consider this to be PVC, automotive PVC wiring. But the kind of wire that I'm going to be replacing it with is TXL. There's some advantages to TXL. You can see this one here, we have a black stripe with a green, because I have a black stripe with a green. I'll tell you where to get all this wiring, but this, the TXL wire, much better than this one. It's a much higher temperature and everything. So it's more flexible and it's thinner walled than the other. So you can keep your wiring harness nice and clean. Because we've got a lot of repairs. Now, I'm not going to make all my repairs here. I will be making repairs way back over to here somewhere, way back there is where I'll make the repair, where the wires are nice and flexible and clean. And then I will bring it all the way up here, past this, and then eventually onto the plug. So here are all the plugs and the way that I numbered it. In my video of removing the engine removal part 1, I labeled every single one of these plugs before I removed it. So these are my numbers. And if you've been following me and you did it the same way as me, you're going to match right up. So those are all those. And then we'll talk about, real quick, the different part numbers. For example, number 6 is that part number. That's also number 2 and number 00. And then we have number 1 over here, and number 9 and number 11, and that's the part number for that. Number 3, number 8 and 10, 4 and 5. This is a made-up plug. I'm going to show you how that all works, because it's not matching the other side of that plug, which is this part number. I need 2 of these, and the wiring color, unfortunately, is the same for both sides. So I'm going to change that because I want it to match the original. I'll talk about where I get this wire. The links and everything will be down below. You guys can choose the wire that you need, of course, and the color combinations that you need. They have a good selection. You're not going to find everything, but I've found things like this. You can see we have, it's in here somewhere. It might be that one. Brown, purple and green, right? Black, your common black. But I bought all the different types that I need for my repairs. You guys are going to have to do your repair. We have one more plug, and that is this one right here. I'm sure most of you guys, if it's all original, this part of it, the rubber part, is either super, super hard and rigid, right? Or it just doesn't work anymore. It's just not flexible at all. If you purchase the replacement for that, there's the part number for that. But what you're going to notice is the little rubber piece is not really like what you had originally. It has some ribs on it. And also the color is black, and your original one is that color. So what am I gonna do about that? Well, I'll show you what I gotta do about it. The kit comes with pins, so that means I can just, you know, make up my own pins, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So what I wanna do is I'm going to be depinning this, and then I'm going to be replacing, I'm gonna keep this the same, and then I'm gonna replace this. Now I found one like that. Now that is much more like the original. It doesn't have these outside ridges like the other one did, but it's more than the actual Bosch. I mean, this is direct from Bosch. That doesn't have it either. And also it doesn't have any of the ridges or anything, you know. So I'm trying to keep it as original looking as possible. And so that's the one I'm gonna be using. Oh, there's that purple wire. Yep, there's that purple wire, you guys. It's right on this thing. So that's the plan, is that I'm gonna be replacing that. So when you're doing the job, you may also need to buy yourself some pins. So there's the part number for that. And that's all those pins. Those pins look like this, and believe it or not, it goes into this 3-prong, at least on mine. This goes to the air conditioner, the AC compressor. And that's how you do it. You put it in there like that, and then close it up. They're very, very simple. When I make these, I heat the actual fitting itself, let the solder flow, and then we'll put it in there like that. And then the way that thing works is really simple. You can see it's got the little prongs right there. And then it would just close. So this is the one that I purchased. I'll put a link in the description down below to the one I purchased at least. But that's it. That's what it looks like. That's their little part number. This is that part number this is for 4 and 5. And I wanted to point out, you see the number 5 is on a green and red wire, and then the other one is black and green. 5 will plug into this other side over here, right? So this is number 5 right here, and then your 5 has to connect. Now, here's my problem with when you order the part, because this part right here is the same part number for both one, at least as far as I can tell. I mean, they are on here. Unfortunately, they all come with this color wire, green and red, not black and green. When you put these together and you replace these other ends, they're both going to be the same. So you need to make sure, well, how are you going to identify it? What I'm going to be using is a high temperature black paint, VHT. And it's made for plastic. So I can scuff this up, and then I'm gonna paint this as part of my repair. Now that's for not only for me, so I know that where 5 is and where 4 is, but it's for the next guy, right? And when you're making a repair, you wanna make it as close as possible. This is gonna take a lot of time, you guys. It's tedious work, so I'm just showing you what I'm doing. The best solution for this is just to paint this wire that color, and then we've repaired these, because I can tell you, these are shot. See that? There's bare wire here, there's bare wire here. You know, that's the problem with these PVC wires. This is hard as a rock. It really is. It's not any good. But back in here, you know, way back in the back there, way back there, we're closer to the firewall there, the wires are good. Actually, all these wires here are even good. All this is good. But these ones here go back to there, and they're shot. This one here looks all right. We can leave number 1 alone. But 4 and 5 need to be replaced. It feels okay up to about this point here, so I may be able to do this, but there's another joint here. The way that I wrap these, this lets me know that this is a wrap point. So I know that that's gonna be bad, so I have to actually go beyond that in order to make this repair. So like I said, this is gonna be a long and tedious job here, but I just wanted to get a video out to let you guys know what's going on, give you some information that you can use. For now, let me tell you about how I go about making this type of a repair. This goes to the air conditioner. It requires a three prong on mine. This actually goes into the number 3 pin. You can see that this part of the wire looks okay. Actually, I taped over the bad part. But we have this here that's broken, and our notorious area right here. This is it right here. You can see I got there, and it goes on and on and on. So I'm going to go all the way back now, you guys. I'm going to follow this line back, make sure that I'm not going to be at a place that is, requires a wrap or something like that. But just go ahead and find out where that is. And then what I'm going to do is, assuming that this was the wire that I was going to repair, and I want to cut it here, I'm going to go back 2 inches, roughly, maybe more, doesn't matter. But you need to go back beyond your repair and mark it. Mark it with an identifier so you know where that is. Then either pull out your entire wire from your line or start laying it down with a piece of string and follow that thing all the way to its plug end, and then take your plug out. I showed you how that works, and get an accurate measurement for the length of that line. That way there, after you cut it and you strip it and all that, and then you in my case, I'm going to go old-fashioned and I'm going to solder these and then shrink wrap it. Then I know that when I'm done making my solder connection, my mark to the end of my next connection, which is in this point a pin, is that same length. That's probably the easiest way to make individual repairs, I think. I'm hoping that in a future video that I can score a wiring harness for this vehicle and then do a whole video on the wiring harness and how to rebuild it. That's what I'd like to do. So that reminds me, I want to send a thanks out to AKN Violin. They donated to the channel, to help me keep this thing going, to buy all these different things and do all this extra stuff and provide detail, So, if I save you time and money or anything like that, go ahead and click on that thanks button down below and just, choose an amount you think's appropriate for whatever, and that's it. And if I'm not saving you time and money or anything like that, don't just throw money at me. There's no reason to do that. No, I'm doing this for me, and I'm doing this for the 560 SL community as well as the R107 community. There's a lot that this car shares with all the R107s, like the steering box as an example, When I do the weather stripping on all the windowsills and all that, replacing the top, all those types of things are going to go along with all those vehicles. So, there's a lot of you, I think, that this channel will help because I'm going to go into the same detail as I do here. Don't judge me on my previous videos. Judge me on my videos from here moving forward. I'm trying to cut these things down and making better videos and get quicker to the point and all that kind of stuff. But I want to make sure that I provide, details of how things are and what you need to be careful of and all that kind of stuff. But you can see this entire wiring harness is just broken and brittle, and it really needs a complete overhaul, but we don't have time for that, right? And I think that's another thing. Guys rush it, and then they put that engine in there, and they have these loose ends like this, and it's shorting out. And then what else do you have? You have a fuel leak. So you have a fuel leak, and then this, and you have now what? A disaster. So I'm trying to prevent disaster here. I'm trying to do this right. I'm trying to keep the color codes correct and everything, and just trying to either bring it back to where it was or better. That's the whole idea. If it's better, I'm a fan for that. I don't want to hurt the integrity, though, of the R107 and how it was put together originally. I wish I could shrink wrap all this exactly how they did it. And again, you know, if I can get another wiring harness, that will be a future video. I will set up a special table and everything and show you exactly how I would rebuild one of these with all the TXL wire. And then you'll never have this problem in the future. And these plugs are not that expensive. And really, if you think about it, the wire's not. You know, this wire that Mercedes sells is gonna do the same thing. I think this feels like a better wire, but it's not nearly as good as that TXL. It's thinner, it's more flexible. So, all right, so I don't want to bug you guys with all the details and everything like that behind all this, but that's how I would make this repair. And what I will be doing is I'm going to repair all this. And then before I put the engine in the vehicle, or maybe in that video, I'll review this real quick, right? Because all of these plugs need to go on the engine. That's the whole idea. So we'll look at them and see how these repairs came out. You guys know what I'm going to be doing. I just don't want to waste your time, you know, with a video of showing me measuring this and then soldering this and then shrink wrapping that, you know, but I will make those little bits and pieces available in the video in the future. Now, at least you've got all the part numbers, you know what all that stuff is. That's everything on this side of the wiring harness. I also have all the stuff for the other side of the wiring harness, which I'll address after this one. I just want to get this one up to par and then move on to the next one. For now, I think you guys, for this video, I think I want to stop right here, and then we'll come back and review it later, like I said. So until then, you guys, thanks again for watching.